Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar, Taming Secrets Sprawl with GitGuardian and Doppler. My name is Dwayne. I am developer advocate here at GitGuardian, and I'm today along with Ryan. Ryan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Good day, everyone. My name is Ryan. I'm the developer advocate here at Doppler. And in the next section, coming up after Dwayne, I'll be giving you a real quick overview on what SecretOps is, what Doppler is, and basically sharing like everything I've learned in the last 2.5 years working at Doppler. So you can manage secrets in the most easiest way possible. So yeah, you'll hear from me a little bit later.
Alrighty. And unfortunately, we're having a little bit of problem with the LinkedIn. I tested it out and everything. So give me just 1 second to try to fix that. And we'll cancel and start. Oh no.
Wouldn't be
Well, if you are watching it
yeah.
on it threw an error. It literally threw an error, said it failed to connect. All right, well, we're just gonna keep going. And if unfortunately, if you were trying to watch this on LinkedIn, we will send the email out to you, and apologies there. Let's just move on. So what we're gonna get through today is we'll talk about the problem of hard-coded secrets, look at a few examples, how we think those situations happen, uh, and then talk about a maturity model of how you can map where you are as a developer and as an organization on both the secret management and the secret detection side of things. So we'll hopefully get enough time for your questions at the end. Please ask those questions. Use the chat box over on the side. Just a little bit of housekeeping as we get going as well. As we're presenting various components, our faces are going to shrink down, go somewhere else on the screen. Don't be alarmed by that. That's totally intended. Also, we'll be sharing some links throughout, so don't feel you need to copy down every slide. We will be sharing where all of these images came from, and if you have questions about that, ask us at the end, and we will get you those resources. We also have some resources laid out at the end. So, without any further ado, let's dive straight into the problem. Problem of hard-coded secrets. So, when we say hard-coded secrets, what we really mean are hard-coded credentials. These are the ways we encrypt and unencrypt our data and provide access to sensitive systems out there. So we've written a few examples on this screen, but if you're watching this, you have seen hard-coded out there. Like Ryan, is there any that jump to mind that you've seen very commonly over at Doppler?
If I had to guess, I would say
Oh, no,
AWS secrets. It should be unmuted now.
Oh, you're good now.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I'd probably say AWS secrets because they're used in applications, they're used in infrastructure. So yeah, I'd say that'd have to be in the top 3.
Excellent. Yeah, it's definitely a growing problem, and the problem is that you've hard coded a secret. The problem is that those get shared. Then the most common place we see code getting shared in the world is out on GitHub, and unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of people accidentally share secrets out there. So GitGuardian every year puts out the State of Secrets Sprawl report. Last year, we saw over 6 million secrets hanging out in public GitHub repositories. This is an increase year over year, over 2x increase. The number that really bothers me about all of this and the bigger area of concern is that we're seeing on average 3 out of every 1,000 commits contain a secret, and that's a 50% increase over the previous year. This is not a good state of things. And if it was just GitHub, this would be bad enough. But the problem is it's not just hard-coded secrets in that code base we're shipping to GitHub. Docker images are also very susceptible to this. Docker is awesome in a lot of ways. It helps us build really scalable applications and do some really cool stuff in DevOps. Ideally, it gets rid of the problem if it worked on my machine. It does help people share those setups to get going really quickly with certain specific stacks. Over almost 9 million, so over 8.8 million, but closer to 9 million right now. Docker images are publicly available out there on Docker Hub. We examined about 10,000 randomly selected ones here at GitGuardian and saw that about 4.62% contained at least one secret. But the amount of secrets we found was astounding. If someone's leaking a secret, they're not just leaking one secret, they're leaking a lot of secrets. On average, across the board, we're seeing 6 secrets per 100 layers of Docker images. So for those of you who might not be familiar with Docker images, a layer is basically the unit of work, the unit of the how you measure how complex a Docker image is. It's kind of like a commit. So excuse me if you're a Docker expert out there and don't like that definition, feel free to put your own definition of layers out there in the comments. But anyway, the point is, there's a lot of secrets that are being leaked out there, and it's not a good situation. And we're talking about public things, but private repositories and those private images that we're not planning on sharing, there's a bit of a false sense of safety we get with that. You made a good analogy in one of our discussions, Ryan. Like if you have passwords laying around your house, you're probably not going to leave your banking password, even though it's your house, even though it's privately where you live. You're still not going to expose that level of secret there. But this is something we're seeing a lot of companies do time and time again. On average, we're seeing a company of about 400 developers will have over 1,000 unique secrets in their code bases when we're working with them. If we think about how organizations are structured, that's almost 3,500 secrets per AppSec engineer, because, well, in your best companies, it's about 100 developers to every security engineer. So the teams that are supposed to be taking care of this are just overwhelmed. So we really do need a way to shift left and get everyone on board, everyone on that same team. But what does this look like in the wild? It's interesting to talk about these high profile cases, but let's just very quickly touch on 3 of them. Codecov, which is a big incident that happened in 2021. They left a secret in a Docker image. A bad actor found it, injected their own code into the Docker image that a Docker image that got distributed. That line of code that got injected stole environment variables with those secrets there and shipped them off to an attacker, affecting over 20,000 clients. That's a lot of people affected by one secret leak. Twitch misconfigured one server and one instance that let a bad actor in that was able to then, from that attack vector, get to over 6,000 repositories. Along the way, they discovered over 6,600 secrets that let them get into all manner of devices and systems. So really a pwning of Twitch based on them not managing secrets correctly. Uber, this happened just recently. It was a single attacker phished super admin privileges, which was bad enough. But once they got into the system using those phished credentials, they found PowerShell scripts that contained more secrets, more credentials to get them into more systems. They even announced this in the internal Slack that, hey, we have done this. And we don't think it's all malicious. We think that there are bad actors acting badly out there and with malicious intent. But how the secrets are ending up in the code is really a combination of a lot of factors. But it all really boils down to humans are humans. We make mistakes. We will sometimes try to test a credential and then accidentally leave that thing we were trying to test in the code and make a commit with it, and then it gets pushed. We sometimes make public things or private things public. That's very easy to do with multiple remotes. I know I've done that a number of times, pushed the wrong file to the wrong place. We don't really think about our logs as a security issue, but if someone can access your logs and those logs are returning plain text secrets, well, that's just as bad as leaving them in your code base in the first place. Accidentally committing ENB files or PEM files, something we all do. But the bigger issue is if you just copy over a folder, then you copy all of the files in there and it ignores gitignore. So if you moved a folder into a Dropbox that has a repo in it, you have moved all of those ignored files with it. And again, pushing the wrong place, we all do that occasionally. The complexity of Git makes this problem even worse, as Git keeps a complete record all the time of where every single file that was committed along every commit is there for all of history. So this all adds up to a pretty complex situation we're in, and it really calls for a new way of thinking about how to handle our secrets. We think that can be summed up with our DevSecOps maturity model for secrets management. So what we've done in this report, and we will share this with you, as well as the State of Secrets Sprawl here in the comments as we go through today. So be on the lookout for those a little bit later. But we've looked at the main 4 areas. We've kind of broken down the software development lifecycle into these 4 general areas. For today's purposes, we're really only going to talk about the first 2, because if we can stop secrets there, then they don't get into the last 2. And that's really what we're focused on here in the first place, is not getting those secrets in there and detecting them early so we can stop them at the source. We see that organizations fall within a spectrum, sort of like this, level 0 from beginner all the way to level 4 being expert. So we're going to dive straight away into it, make the best use of our time on this webinar. See, we're doing about right on time, right? And just start talking about what does this look like at every level. So from secrets management and secrets detection are both part of this larger equation of secret management maturity model. So it's not just about managing, it's also about detection and remediation. That's what we're breaking down across these slides at various levels. So from the secret detection level, it's pretty easy to tell if you're at level 0 because you don't have a plan. There is nothing in place. If you ask anyone on the teams, what do you do about preventing secrets, and how do you detect if you have leaked a secret, you get a lot of shrugs. You get a lot of I don't know. So it's pretty easy to tell if you have no secret detection in place. But secret management, there might be some other clues there. Ryan, I haven't let you do almost any talking on this webinar. I apologize about that. But I'll invite you in right now. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about secrets management at the uninitiated level?
Yeah, so I think this is where a lot of folks are. Managing secrets, let's say like using .env files, it's painful, and in a lot of cases, teams are managing secrets just very manually, and so they're not really aware that it's a painful problem, and they're also not aware that in this modern age there are great tools like GitGuardian, Doppler that can really just make this problem go away. So I think this is the level where there's like the most opportunity. And the one thing I'd say is that moving from like this level to the next level is relatively easy as well. So yeah, when we get into my section, I'll talk a little bit about how to do that. But yeah, and look, the other thing I want to say too, like everyone has been here. I've had secrets, in repositories, back in the day. I know how to do things better now, obviously. But yeah, this is a great place to start and a great place to start making things better.
Right on. So let's move on to level 1 then. So, and that's a great point. We're not here to point fingers at anyone and say, hey, you should feel bad about being where you are, but it's good to have a map of knowing where you can go. So why don't you start this one off just talking on the secret management side?
Yeah, so this is where folks are like, all right, we know that storing secrets in plain text files is a bad idea, so we're going to look into making sure they're always encrypted at rest. But we're looking at like what are the available options. So maybe a secrets manager seems a little bit full on at the moment, but at least teams are starting to talk about let's make sure that we don't have any secrets just lying around, and let's start doing some investigations in terms of what secret managers are out there and what might be a good fit for our team, for your team, and different, or maybe even your organization as a whole.
Oh, yeah. So sorry about that. On the secret detection side of this, well, from the developer perspective, it looks pretty much identical, that we, as developers, don't have a plan. We'd have nothing in place to help us not commit those secrets. From an operations perspective, from security operator perspective, DevSec perspective, I should say, there is something in place. There is something that manually runs from time to time. Scans are periodically performed. Maybe they're manual checks. Maybe they're built into part of code reviews for major milestones, but there's something there. So when you ask, hey, what's the plan for finding them, you get something back. It's probably inconsistent, but they're at least have that conversation somewhere. Remediation, on the other hand, which is another big part of the secret detection, because it's not useful just to detect something and not act on it. So how do you remediate it? That is, well, again, very piecemeal in these kind of organizations where they know generally what to do, but every single incident is treated as a unique event that maybe they've gone through it before and they have a little tribal knowledge, but there's no systematic way that they have captured that data and haven't used it in a progressive way. But that's good that you're having those conversations, because that's how you get to level 2, is to start talking out loud and saying, well, how do we use our tribal knowledge? Part of that tribal knowledge is in the heads of the developer. So starting really from the remediation and from the DevSec team, they are going back and communicating with developers at times. For things that are not quite obvious, they will have those conversations, but it's not a common practice to involve them at every stage, at every single time they're trying to remediate something. On the scanning side of it, we've gone from occasionally we do something or run a manual scan to we put automation in place, and now we are continually scanning, at least on every pull request. That's a great point to say, am I going to merge this toward my production code? If it is going to run in my runtime environment, I should probably check it there. That's a great step. If you're doing that as an organization, good for you. You are well on your way toward maturity. From a developer perspective, though, there is some kind of scanning you can do, but just like the level 1 on the DevSec side, for the source control side, it's done periodically. When you're about to make a big commit, when you've done a lot of work, when you have a major milestone to hit, when you think about doing it, when you have a checklist item to check off. But is it consistent? Not really. It's not been automated yet. From the secret management side, though, Ryan, how does this differ from level 1?
Yeah, so I think you can see here that in level 2, we've now got secrets in a secrets manager, and the last point there, developer environments are correctly scoped. This is when we're starting to think about access control. So developers obviously need access to the secrets in their development environment, but when it comes to things like production, it's better that that is handled obviously by security and DevSecOps folks. So we're not just thinking about the secure storage and access of secrets, but we're starting to think about just like the broader security principles as well. And as you can see from source control, either the secrets are in source control at all, or if you're using some sort of like encrypted management, you've got workflows to say encrypt those in your development environment, and then they get decrypted at runtime. So in any case, things are starting to look really good now because we don't have plain text secrets. So yeah, if you get to this level, you're doing well.
All right. So why don't we just keep that momentum rolling and talk about people as they're jumping to level 3?
Yeah, so level 3 is particularly important for anyone that needs to meet regulatory requirements, so around like secrets rotation, whether that be for database credentials or things like AWS IAM credentials. And what's really good about this is that if you can move to a model where you've just got secrets in your secrets manager and you're injecting them at runtime, it means that you don't need to have secrets in your source code at all. So this is where the things are starting to get more automated as well. So yeah, this is for teams when you need to scale secrets management and you want to do that consistently. Level 3 in advanced is where you're going to see some huge benefits in terms of just like automating things and saving time.
Well, automation is the name of the game, because that is really what we should be doing in DevOps in general. That's how you can tell maturity in DevOps, but especially in DevSecOps. Automation from the developer end means that those checks that we're running periodically, we've hooked those into something like Git hooks to run every single time we make a commit. And it's every time, not just when we think about it, not taking away the human error factor. At this point, we start blurring those lines in a good way, because we're shifting left, the lines between the DevSec team and the developer, because source control and developer environments here start overlapping quite a bit. That there is mandatory involvement by developers throughout the remediation process. We are systematically getting that tribal knowledge out of people's heads, and we are putting in place processes and systems to make sure that if we do have an incident, it's not an isolated incident anymore. It is tribal knowledge. We know how to, not tribal knowledge, but it's systematic knowledge. We know how to fix that. And we can start thinking about automation of that remediation. We're not maybe quite there yet, but we can start getting to that level of sophistication. At this level, we're also continually scanning, not just at major specific points like handoffs of pull requests, but at every juncture along the software development lifecycle, we are running some kind of scanning to look at not just the code that heads toward production, but all code living anywhere on any system, be it test environment, dev environment, or production. So automation really is the name of the game on this. And the people that we're seeing do it absolutely the best, what we call our experts, that's where they really shine, is that they have taken remediation not just from a point of we've collected the knowledge and now we know how to systematically repeat this, but they've gone so far as to automate all the parts that are automatable. Of course, human being probably is going to be involved at some point along the way, but if keys need rotated, it's no longer like, how do we do that? Or let's open up a terminal and follow along the dotted lines. It's automate all of the processes. And that's starting to cross over with what you're talking about, Ryan, with the secrets management there. But before we talk about remediation and automation steps together, from a developer's perspective, our experts aren't just automating the development testing for secrets detection. They're doing it consistently across the board. It's part of their onboarding process. It's just part of the way that repos are set up and the way the tooling is handled across the organization. And this is very true of all of DevOps, but if all of the developers are using the same tools in the same way consistently, you're going to get a very consistent process and everyone's going to be happy. So, like I say, this starts really crossing over with secrets management, I think, at this point, Ryan, but that's, I think, a good thing because we've shifted the concern left for all things. So developers are starting to really meld here with the security organization.
Yeah, totally. I think what's really awesome when you get to this point is that managing secrets, using a central source of truth, seems as obvious as having GitHub or some code host where everyone is pushing code updates. We've got things like dynamic secrets. The best secret is the one that you never have to create. So when, for instance, secrets are dynamically allocated during CI/CD and they expire in 5 minutes, they're the sort of advanced workflows that folks at this level are starting to get to. And then, Dwayne, that top point about access controls and logging. Imagine and director of engineering say, hey, how are we managing secrets for all of our applications? Having a central source of truth means that you can see a secrets audit log for every application, who changed secrets, where secrets are being synced. So at this level, not only are you doing things the right way, but you actually have a data-driven approach to making sure that secrets are managed in the correct way for all of your applications. So yeah, this is absolutely where you want to get to. And trust me, it's not necessarily as hard as you think.
Well said. But again, we don't want to not to repeat ourselves too much, but we don't want to point at anyone and say, hey, you should feel bad about where you are on this map. But we do want to think about it as a map, that identify where you're at now and know where you can go along your journey. Also know that this isn't a destination type thing. While we're saying what we see experts do, we also know that security doesn't have a single magic bullet. It has best practices and there's awesome tools you can use to get you there. But it really is about the combination of people using the right tools in the right way, setting the right processes in place, following those, and making that virtuous cycle of security. So I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Secrets management and secret detection are really two parts of the larger equation of being a mature organization for secrets management. Doppler is awesome on the secret management side, GitGuardian awesome on the secret detection side. So what the rest of this webinar will look like is we're going to go through very quickly a high-level overview of our different platforms and give a quick demo of each. At that point, we'll open it up for Q&A at the end. And if you have questions throughout, feel free to throw them over into the chat or into the questions here on Crowdcast, and we will get to them as quick as we can. So with that, Ryan, I'm going to push you to the top of the screen, make you small, like I said I would earlier, or your image smaller, I should say. You're the same size. And I'm going to talk just, again, very briefly at a high level about how we are helping people build effective detection and remediation programs with GitGuardian. So to have a successful end-to-end program around secret detection and remediation, it's not just about monitoring. It's not just about the remediation. We see it in these 5 pieces. It is about monitoring in part, monitoring everywhere throughout the software development lifecycle, monitoring not just when the code is originally pushed, not just when it gets to production, but every step along the way. And detecting for the right kind of secrets. There are a lot of types of secrets out there. Are you making sure that you are accounting for all of the common ones? Getting the right alerts in place. The detection is awesome, but if no one gets an alert, did that detection actually happen? Well, that's what our platform is awesome at, is giving the alerts to the right people in a timely manner. And remediation, this is something we are helping teams understand and systematize and move up that maturity model. Instead of just, hey, we've got an incident, we got to figure out what to do about it, we'll help you build playbooks. We have playbooks ready to go that will point you in the right direction on how to remediate those incidents. And from an operations perspective, you really do need to know what is going on across your organization. How have these incidents impacted you historically? And that's what our analytics can help you do and start identifying the problem areas and areas for improvement. So to break that down a little bit further, you need to monitor across all of your systems. Unify that monitoring across everywhere you're storing code. If you have your average organization isn't just using GitHub, they're probably using other tools as well, like Bitbucket or Azure, and not just the version control there, but also things like Azure DevOps and various container systems throughout along the way. That's why it's easy to integrate GitGuardian at every stage of the process. No matter where you are with that code, are you pushing it to the server in the first place? Is that even making that commit in the first place? We can help people, we'll show that in the demo in a second, help you stop those commits from getting even committed, those changes from being committed and those secrets making it to the code in the first place. When you push it into your CI environment, well, that's another great place to check and make sure that, hey, should we even receive this change or should we stop it? All the way along the way, all the way through and including deployment. So that's what we mean by monitoring. Detection, we are looking for over 350 different kinds of secrets, and we give you the ability to add your own patterns. So if there's we've set up your own API and you have your own way of securing that, we can help you with that as well. Remediation, again, the best teams out there are blurring that line of, well, who's really on the dedicated sec team and who's really on the dev team, because they're all working together to make sure security happens as one big, just total team. That's what our playbooks and system really strive to help people do, to involve the developers throughout the remediation process to get their feedback early, quickly, and making sure that they are able to participate in not just resolving the incident, but building that knowledge base out with the whole team. So with that, I'm going to actually pre-recorded this because there's a lot of bells and whistles going on behind the scenes for one of these webinars. And so I'm just going to play real quick, and I'll be back to talk to you here in a second.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this quick walkthrough of the GitGuardian internal monitoring dashboard. We will start here from the perimeter section. Here we can see the list of repositories that we are currently monitoring and scanning for secrets. The first thing you would do is integrate the VCS of your choice. Once that's done, you would scan the full history of these repositories to understand which are the secrets that have already been committed. And we also monitor in real time to alert you if any secrets are making it to these repos, new commits. If I click on this repository here, this will take me to the incidents that have already been found. So click here, takes me to the incidents section. And you can see that in this repository, we found a lot of different AWS keys. I'll highlight the fact that I said different keys because if I click on this first one here, you'll see that we have found this key 4 times. So this unique credential has been found 4 times in different locations. These 4 are called occurrences, one incident that involves, again, one unique key. So you can see here that we can cycle through these occurrences. So this really makes the information a lot more digestible for the team. And you can see here that for each, we'll show you the patch, give you a bit of context, show you the severity, and as well as for some secrets like AWS keys, we can automatically detect if it's still valid or not. Super helpful for the security team. We can also tell you if it's still present in your Git history. We have some useful tags here. And a very important feature that we have is the ability to query information from the developers who are involved in this, who are using this secret. So you can see here that I can create a link that will allow the developer to share feedback, show you what this looks like. If the developer clicks on this link, they'll see much of the information, and they'll be able to submit their feedback about this because they know best what this secret gives access to, who else uses it, and this information is really key in the remediation process. So if I go back here, you can see this feedback section where this information will appear, and then the security team can take action with all the information they need. Finally, we also provide some remediation guidelines here just for good reference. Next, we can take a look at the integration section. So here you can see that we don't only support VCS integrations, but also we can scan in a few other locations. As also important is alerting. We integrate with a lot of different services to make sure the alerting gets to the right place. We also have APIs that let you pull information from the dashboard and perform all the actions that you need to do via API. So at this point, I'll hand it over to Dwayne, who will talk more about GG Shield and pre-commit hooks, everything else that we can do with GitGuardian.
Thanks, Ramsey. So from a development perspective, ideally you would want a tool that will help you not hard-code your secrets, or at least not commit those hard-coded secrets in the first place. That's exactly what we've built with GG Shield. This is an open source command line application that will look for over 350 types of secrets anywhere you want to throughout the software development lifecycle. Once you've installed it with your favorite package manager, you would authenticate against the GitGuardian platform using a personal authentication token. Here we set it just to scan, but you can actually widen that scope if you want to build your own dashboards or integrate our API into any of your other workflows. But for today, we're going to focus just on the scanning because that is the main use of GG Shield, to scan for secrets, such as across the entire repository, inside of specific paths, inside of your continuous integration environment, or in places like Docker files, or PyPy packages, or archives of your entire repo. We've also included recently infrastructure as code scanning, which will scan for the 70 plus most common vulnerabilities in infrastructure as code setups, as well as for hard-coded secrets there. Let's go ahead and dive in what this all looks like from the command line. Here I am inside of VS Code. This is my personal favorite setup, but this will work anywhere you have access to a terminal. I'm working inside of a sample secrets library. This repository is available open source on the GitGuardian GitHub page, and it's full of hard-coded secret examples to let you test your favorite tools, such as GG Shield. Now, I've already installed GG Shield locally, so we won't be walking through that setup, but just confirm it's there. Now, you notice in this bucket S3 Python file, I have something that kind of looks like a credential. So I could, as a developer, say GG Shield, and I want a secret scan, and I could look through the entire repo, but instead I want to give it a specific path. That path is going to be to that specific file, in this case bucket
S3 py. Sure enough, it has found a secret. Now, I, as a developer, can make some decisions. Since this is not a valid AWS key, it's actually told me that as well. And I know this is a test. I could ignore it using GG-Shield ignore moving forward, but I'm not going to do that right now. Instead, I want to make sure that I automatically look for these secrets every time I go to make a commit. So let's make a quick change here. That's secret, and I'll do a git add bucket. And if I do a git status, you see that I have the bucket S3 Python file ready to be committed. If you commit it right this second, it in fact will go ahead and commit because I don't have a git hook set up to automatically check for anything. This is another advantage of GG-Shield. To set up a git hook, I can simply do GG-Shield install, tell it what mode I want it to install in this case locally, so it'll install my local hooks folder, and then I'm going to tell it what type. GitGuardian has caught, hey, I have an AWS key, client ID, and client secret in here, and it has stopped me from making that commit. So if I want to get status again, that file has not been committed. These secrets have not made their way into my repository, and all is good. That is the power of GG-Shield, that I can manually look for secrets throughout my code, as well as automate the process to stop me from making those commits in the first place.
And that was a quick demo of GG-Shield and the GitGuardian platform. So I know we are running tight on time. So hopefully everybody has cleared the whole hour for this. I know we said 45 minutes, but looks like we're gonna go a little bit over that today. So hopefully you can all stick around for our exciting conclusion. But Ryan, I've already cut into your time a little too much here, I think. But I'll just turn it over to you.
All righty. Okay, Dwayne, can you see the slides there?
Yep, I see them just fine.
Awesome. All right, guys. So yeah, I'll keep this short and sweet. So I'm Ryan from Doppler, and we are a SecretOps platform. Now, Doppler's mission is that we want to secure the world's most valuable infrastructure with a platform that developers love. And the last bit, the platform that developers love, is really the most important part, because developers aren't going to use a security tool unless it's one that they enjoy using. So you're probably wondering, well, what is SecretOps? In preparing for this webinar, I tried to think of a nice little neat single sentence, but it's really hard to kind of come up with that. So being an Aussie, I thought I'd come up with a very straightforward version, which is managing secrets doesn't have to suck. Like the way that we've been doing it, it's very manual, it's very painful. We don't have to do it that way anymore. And what you can see on the right here is a screenshot of Doppler's UI. So just to point a few things out, you organize your secrets via projects which map to applications. That makes sense. Every project has different environments. That makes sense. And then you get this like really nice full-featured UI. So painful, the way it was, painful, manual, costly mistakes, doesn't have to be like that anymore. All right, so what do we know about secrets management? Well, we're managing over 1.2 million secrets, and our customers are fetching about 6.3 billion secrets per month. So it's not just us that's excited about SecretOps. It's really awesome when I work with a customer on their solutions, and I see them going from manual and painful ways of managing secrets to just automating all of that pain away. So essentially, the sense of urgency here is that secrets are growing. Dwayne established that in some of his stats. But if organizations aren't making things more efficient in the way they manage secrets, then it means that they're going to spend more and more time. So the way that you get this under control, that you tame secret sprawl, is that you have to automate. Because if you don't automate, for every secret you add, you're spending more time. So really, if we compare DevOps, what DevOps gave us, and we're going to draw a parallel with that between SecretOps. Essentially, before DevOps, everything was manual. Humans were making mistakes because while we're very clever, we're not good at doing things, like repetitious things. And let's face it, that's why computers were invented anyway. So after DevOps, infrastructure automation solved so many problems. Humans made less mistakes, and life was better. So really the key is automating as much as possible, because not only does that make things more efficient, it also means that humans are making less errors. All right, so before SecretOps, you've got secrets sprawled everywhere, and every team is sort of managing things for themselves. So this is what a lot of customers have when we see them. And they've got secrets in a bunch of different places, env files, different clouds. And to a certain extent, you can't really do much about that because every platform has their own storage for secrets or environment variables. So it's not necessarily a case of making everyone integrate with a single secrets manager, but the most important thing is that you centralize where you manage them and you have integrations that sync them wherever they need to go. Because if developers get to use the built-in secrets management features of their platform, it means that you're reducing developer friction, but you're still keeping Doppler or a SecretOps platform as that central source of truth. So that is the way that you make life so much easier. And even though Doppler is a security tool, a way to think about it really is a productivity and cost-saving tool as well. Because the more you can get rid of manual processes, faster everything goes. And not just that, but developers want to spend time writing code. They don't want to spend time managing secrets. No one does. So that's why with SecretOps, you get essentially a bunch of playbooks so you know how to manage secrets really effectively. And it just means that you just take all of the things about DevOps and automation that has changed the game, and you just apply that to how you manage secrets. So really the way to think about this is that anytime you're managing something like a secret and you're like, man, this seems manual, this is painful, is there a better way? The answer is yes, there is a better way. Now I've got a demo here and I'm going to blast through it because I think we've got about 3 minutes, and you've got a link to this presentation anyway. So what I want to really quickly show here is that when you start using Doppler, it doesn't take you days to get everything working. This is a 5.5-minute demo, and it starts with creating a project. Then you're going to import your secrets into from your development environment, and let's say you're using .env files. So with Doppler, you just put them straight in. We can import your secrets, and then once those are saved, now you're ready to start getting those secrets out of Doppler. So every single application that you have, all of your secrets go into Doppler. The next step when you're setting up your development environment is that you need to install our CLI. And the CLI is how we're going to fetch secrets from Doppler and then inject them into our application, which you're going to see in a minute. The first step is that you need to authorize your machine. And that is so in your development environment, the Doppler CLI is going to be able to access any project and any config that you can in the dashboard. So here, what we can see is that if we started our application using, if we're using a .env file, well, with Doppler, you do not need another env file for the rest of your life because we can delete that. And what we're going to do, instead of running npm start, now we're actually going to use Doppler to run that command. So here you can see we're selecting the project and the config. Now, if we try and run our application, what this is doing is grabbing the latest version of the secrets and injecting them as environment variables. And then we can enjoy some random Mandalorian GIFs. This sample app is available on our GitHub, by the way. So really, I think I want to leave some time for questions. That just gives you a taste of how easy life can be when you're using Doppler. So just think, what is SecretOps? It means that secrets management doesn't have to suck anymore. All right. Let me go to this. Okay. The other thing that SecretOps gives you is just consistency. When someone says, hey, how do we manage secrets? The answer is SecretOps. And then, once the answer is SecretOps, then you've got a way to have a consistent conversation with the rest of your team. All right, so that's about all we've got time for today, but hope that's made you a little bit curious about SecretOps and managing secrets in a much more efficient way that's less painful, less manual, so you can enjoy doing the parts of your job that you like.
Thanks very much, Ryan. Sorry about for those of you watching, the weird change around of screen at the very end there. But hopefully it wasn't too distracting. And sorry we didn't get more time to see Doppler in action there, Ryan. I was really looking forward to that. I think we could have definitely something I think everybody on the call will want to see follow up with. So having said that, let me share my screen again. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate that vote of confidence there. So yeah, we do want to leave time for a few questions. We're willing to hang out for a little bit longer. So if you have questions, please shoot them over into the chat box and we will get to them. But wrapping things up, I mentioned this earlier, but getting to a mature organization isn't just about technology. It's not just about the tools you put in place. It really comes down to people using processes in a reliable way, and tools can help you do that in an automated fashion. So when the system's working very well, it's people using tools within well-established and known processes to reach their goals. I think you can say that generally about DevOps as well, but this is exceptionally true when we're talking about secrets management. In the bigger picture of things, secret management isn't just about hiding your secrets. It's also about detecting when those secrets do get leaked and remediating them. So we're looking at two sides of the same equation here, or two parts of the same equation to get to that state. Part of it being Doppler and part of it being GitGuardian. So just to wrap things up, you can learn more about GitGuardian over at our website, and we will be happy to share these slides with you if you're attending and watching as part of the follow-up. So you can click on these links. Doppler has made some of the resources available as well. But Ryan, I am curious, if I wanted to get started with Doppler right now, what would be the best way for me to go about that?
Yeah, so it's really easy. Essentially, you can sign up for free. You can add 4 others of your teammates in, so you can start collaborating. And really, it's in that demo, that is essentially how you get started. You sign up for Doppler, you create a project so you can have the secrets for your application. You install the CLI locally, authenticate it, and then instead of using .env files, you just use Doppler run to inject the secrets into your application. Then when it comes to deploying your application and getting secrets into production, that is when you use our integrations. So the integrations are how you sync from Doppler to Kubernetes, AWS, Vercel, Cloudflare, wherever it needs to be. So then that way you never have to manually manage the secrets in any of those platforms again, because you've got Doppler's beautiful interface to do that for you. So as you saw in the demo, it doesn't take days. You can literally get going in 5 minutes. And because Doppler's UI is just so nice and easy to use, whether you're a dev, a security person, or a DevOps engineer, it just makes sense, and you can get up and running really quickly.
Excellent. So with that, looking for questions out there, but I'm not seeing any questions pop up. So if you do have questions, please feel free to write them in there, and we will get back to you. Also, feel free to reach out to us. Reply to the email that you're registered with, and those questions will get logged, and we will get back to you offline as well. And feel free to hit us up on our social media as well. I know some people had registered through LinkedIn, so feel free to comment on the event over there, even though we didn't get to broadcast it. And we will be reaching out for everyone that we have your email. So we'll be reaching out with a follow-up to the recording and to the additional materials. So thank you very, very much for tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. So stay safe out there.
Thanks, guys. See you later.